I want to ask you a simple question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever stopped one of your trades and looked at your trading screen and thought, why did I do that? You knew your trading setup wasn't right. You knew your stop loss was in the wrong place. You promised yourself you'd be patient today, yet you made the same mistake again. As a result, you admitted to overtrading again. Again, you couldn't control your emotions. If this sounds familiar to you, then you've admitted to overtrading. In fact, today I'm going to go into more depth about this topic. Have you ever taken a winning trade that you didn't even like? Because deep down, you know it wasn't your trading setup, it was your luck. And luck doesn't last forever in trading. I want to say this loud and clear. It's not just about your strategy. It's about building a clear understanding of your psychology. Welcome to this Trading Psychology series. Can you really take emotion out of trading? Here's the truth. This is not some motivational fluff video. It's real, and this story is brutally true for all new traders. We're delving deep into what's really going on in your mind when you trade, why you break your own rules, why you keep making the same mistakes over and over again even though you know you'll lose, why revenge trading feels so satisfying until it destroys your account. Because here's the truth, you can't take emotion out of trading, but you can learn how to manage them like a pro. That's what this series is all about. We're talking about emotional triggers, habits, identity patterns, the things most traders refuse to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about in detail today. This is for traders who are tired of pretending they have it all figured out. This is for those who know they have the skills but can't be consistent. This is for you if you're ready to stop blowing your emotions out every time you take a sip. And if you're still watching this, I already know one thing about you. You're not just interested in charts, you're serious about skill. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button now, because that's how we'll continue to publish high-level, honest trading psychology content, and you won't want to miss what's coming. Leave a comment below and tell me what emotion influences your trading the most. Is it fear, greed, FOMO? Let's talk about it. Let's help each other. This isn't just a video. This is the beginning of a mindset transformation. Welcome to the truth. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The lie you've been sold. You keep hearing it. You have to take your emotions out of trading. Everyone says that, right? As if there's a secret switch you can flip to turn off your emotions and you become a robotic machine. Suddenly, boom, you're profitable, consistent, unwavering. But you tried. Did you really try? You meditated, you journaled, you promised yourself that this time you wouldn't overtrade. You swore, clenched in your fist, that you would follow your setup. And then the market shakes a little and your entire inner world erupts like a volcano. Panic, doubt, FOMO, anger. That voice inside your head screaming, trade now or you'll miss out. Or worse, just get out. It's going against you. Forget your setup. And after falling into this trap and overtrading, shame. That cold, bitter shame that will be wrapped around your chest like chains. You stare at your screen and ask yourself, what's wrong with me? But I want you to hear this, really hear this, maybe for the first time. You have nothing wrong with you. Don't break down. You're not overly emotional. You're not weak. You're human. And the truth is, trying to remove your emotions from trading is like trying to remove the oxygen from your lungs. It's not only impossible, it's dangerous. The real question isn't, how do I try to remove emotions from trading? It's, how do I work with them? Because those emotions, fear, greed, hesitation, excitement, are not the enemy. They are signals, messages, real information in your nervous system. And most traders, they never learn to read that information. They just suppress it. They push it down. And what happens when you push the emotions down? They come back up, even stronger, even worse. Usually when it matters most. Let's get something straight right now. You will never be a machine. And that is not your goal. Your goal is to become a master, to be a master over yourself,
A trader who feels everything but doesn't get carried away by emotion. Someone who can hear the chaos inside, acknowledge it, and still make clear, confident decisions. You're not numb. You're learning to navigate. Big difference. And I know, right now, it may seem far away. You're sitting in front of your charts, heart pounding, maybe stuck in another tough day, wondering if you'll ever get it. But trust me, you're closer than you think. Because you're reading this, it means you're no longer looking for a quick hack. You're not chasing magic tricks. You're not just using some indicator or copying some YouTuber's entry. You're willing to look inside. And that changes everything. Look, most traders never get to this point. They spend years, even decades, trying to get out of the mental rut. They change setups, they run out of time frames, they flip accounts, but they never ask themselves, why am I destroying myself? But you're asking, you're moving forward, you're choosing awareness, and awareness is the beginning of power. Now let me be real with you. This is not going to be some motivational fluff fest. I'm not here to tell you a fairy tale. This journey is going to be bittersweet. You're going to face some uncomfortable truths about yourself, your ego, your expectations, and your conditioning. You will uncover layers of yourself that you didn't even know were there. But on the other hand, peace, clarity, control. Imagine entering a trade not expecting it to work, but knowing that you will handle it no matter what, win or lose. Imagine feeling that calmness in your chest, that firmness when the market gets choppy. Imagine not needing every trade to validate your worth anymore. It's not a fantasy, it's possible, and I'm going to help you get there. Not by pretending the emotions don't exist, but by teaching you how to integrate them. Because the best traders in the world, the ones who survive long-term, they're not fearless, they're not heartless, they're not machines, they're people, deeply human, but they've learned to control themselves. They've learned to notice fear without accepting it. They've developed mental resilience, and that's what gives them an edge. You're going to make it too. But that's where we start, by rejecting lies. You don't need to eliminate your emotions to trade successfully. You need to understand them. You need to develop your emotional literacy, the ability to recognize what's showing up inside you, give it a name, and respond purposefully instead of reacting. And if that sounds bland, if it sounds like something that doesn't belong in trading, I want to ask you, how's that cold, emotionless approach working for you? Exactly. So forget the lies, forget the social media crap, forget the influencers telling you to just control yourself without giving you the tools. Forget the traders who pretend they never panic, never doubt, never make mistakes. They're lying to you and to themselves. And you're done with the lies. You're ready for the truth, real, unfiltered, transformative. So let's go there, together.
Chapter 2. Why you feel so damn much when you trade. It hits you like a wave, doesn't it? That intense rush of adrenaline the moment your setup starts to form. Your finger hovers over the mouse, your heart rate jumps. Every trade you make is a mini world of survival, one that is a big part of profit and loss, safety and risk, control and surrender. Your brain doesn't know the difference between losing a trade and facing a real-life threat. To your nervous system, a red P&L can feel like a victim. Do you feel that spike of cortisol when a trade goes against you? It's not a flaw in your mindset. It's your body doing what it's designed to do, protect you. But here's where it gets complicated. Most of us, long before we ever touch a trading platform, have learned how to feel. We've learned how to cope. We've learned how to avoid pain, how to distract ourselves, how to bury discomfort beneath logic or haste or denial. Maybe you were told to be strong, or just move on, or don't be so sensitive. So when trading brings all those unprocessed emotions to the surface, you feel like there's something wrong with you. You feel like, I'm too emotional for this. You think, I'll never get what I want. But you've turned it upside down.
Honestly, trading exposes you. It unmasks you. It exacerbates the unexpressed parts of you. Your insecurities, your fear of failure, your self-worth issues, your need for control, your perfectionism. And that's why it feels so intense. Because it is. Think about it. Where else in life would you risk money, your money, based on a split-second decision with no sure outcome? Where else in a world of total uncertainty would you be asked to act with confidence? Now consider the fact that your identity, your dreams, and perhaps your self-esteem are intertwined with your trading results. This is why your chest tightens. This is why you can't breathe. This is why a small loss feels like an existential crisis. But hear me out. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. And being strong doesn't disqualify you from trading. It actually positions you for growth if you're willing to learn what your emotions are really trying to tell you. Because emotions are not obstacles, they are information. Each one, fear, anger, excitement, frustration, contains useful information. Fear may indicate overexposure, not just financially, but emotionally. Frustration may indicate unmet expectations. Perhaps you're trading to prove something rather than to implement a system. Indecision may indicate you've lost confidence, not in the market, but in yourself. Can you see the difference? You don't need to suppress these signals, you need to decode them. This is the emotional edge that no one talks about. Everyone is chasing alpha, edge, strategy. But the real advantage? It's in self-awareness, in emotional intelligence, being able to feel fear, find its source, and act on it with clarity. This is what separates the pros from the optimists. It's not who has the fanciest chart, it's who can stay in control in the storm. This doesn't mean your feelings will disappear. No matter how experienced you are, you will still feel things. The difference is, with practice, those feelings won't control you. You'll stop reacting and start responding. You'll stop the whirlwind and start observing. You'll be the eye of the storm, not a leaf blowing in the wind. But you have to be willing to look inward, not just at your trade, but at your inner world. What did you learn about success growing up? What do losses really mean to you? Are you trying to win, or are you trying to escape the feeling of failure? These questions are more important than any entry strategy. Because if you constantly use trading as a way to validate your worth, every loss will feel like a personal rejection. Every win will be a temporary high, followed by the fear that it's all going to be lost. There's no way to survive, and that's certainly no way to trade. But the moment you separate your identity from your results, everything changes. You stop needing to be right. You stop chasing setups that don't line up. You stop over-leveraging because you're not trying to prove anything anymore. And that kind of mental freedom, it translates into trading skills. So the next time you feel that wave in your chest, panic, fear, wild hope, I want you to stop. Don't judge. Don't fight it. Just notice. Ask yourself, what is this feeling telling me? Is there an unmet need building up here? Can I feel it fully and still follow my plan? That's the job. Not suppressing emotions, not being emotionless, but being aware, curious, present. It won't happen overnight, but over time, you'll start to feel more confident. You'll be able to recognize these patterns not only in the market, but in yourself. And you'll realize, crap, I'm actually changing. And you're changing too. This is the moment you stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. The moment when emotions stop being enemies and start being allies. Signal, guide. You are not too emotional for this game. You are just beginning to understand your emotional power. And this is where your advantage begins.
Chapter 3. You are not your P&L. Let's talk about the scoreboard. That daily equity curve. The bright green days that make you feel like a genius, a real trader. And the red days that feel like a punch in the arm, a slap in the face, a judgment on your worth. It's cruel, isn't it?
One day you're on top of the world, confident, energized, focused, and the next day you're doubting everything. Not just your business, but yourself, your intelligence, your ability, your future. One bad market day has crushed your entire morale. You sit there staring at your screen, calculating the day, and you think, maybe I'm not up for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. But let me tell you something that could change everything. You are not your P&L. Read this again. Read it out loud if you need to. You are not your P&L. It does not define you. It doesn't measure your intelligence, your discipline, or your potential. And it certainly doesn't tell the whole story. One bad market day can't judge you. But I know it's hard to believe when you live in a constant state of fear every day, when every candlestick pattern feels like it's either going to lift you up or pull you down. You're stuck in the P&L, and your emotions, joy, fear, pride, shame, follow you like you're on a roller coaster and you can't get off. But that emotional trauma, it's not because you're weak. It's because somewhere along the line, you've tied your value as a person to your results as a trader. And that's a dangerous thing to do, because trading isn't linear. It's messy. It's uncertain. It's full of randomness. You can do everything right and still lose. You can win by breaking every rule. So when you attach your self-worth to the outcome of every trade, you are handing over your identity to chaos. Let me be blunt. It will destroy you. Not just your performance, you. So what's the alternative? You're confusing the two. You learn to separate yourself, the person, from your business. You start to evaluate your progress based not on profits, but on the process, on consistency, not on results, on decisions, not on dollar signs. Because results lie, but the process never does. Think about it. If you follow your plan with discipline, if you manage your risk, if you honor your strategy, and the trade still loses, is that failure or success in disguise? And if you break every rule, chase an entry to get out of FOMO, double your size without a plan, and end the day in the green, is that a win? Or is it just a ticking time bomb? You already know the answer, but your brain doesn't. Your brain is addicted to short-term reinforcement. It craves the dopamine hit of a winning trade. It sees green and says, you're good. It sees red and says, you're bad. Unless you reprogram it, unless you consciously retrain the way you evaluate your days, you'll keep swinging between ego highs and lows. So here's what you do. You start asking better questions. Not, did I make money today? But, did I act honestly? Did I follow my instincts? Did I consciously manage my emotions? You create a scoreboard based on behavior, not just the P&L. Because behavior is what you can control. Behavior is where growth happens, and behavior is what leads to consistency. Let me tell you something the pros know. Some of your best trading days will be red. You will take clean, disciplined losses. You will walk away feeling proud. You'll sleep well because you respected your system. You didn't panic, you didn't chase, you acted like a pro. And some of your bad days, they will be green because you got lucky, because the market woke you up, because you ignored your plan and got away with it. But deep down, you will feel it, that guilt, that tightness in your chest, because you know you got paid to build bad habits. This is the paradox that most traders never escape. They worship results, and because of that, they are never consistent. But you are waking up. You are starting to see the deeper game. You are starting to realize that trading is not just about money. It is about self-control. It's about building character. It's about becoming someone who can calmly and confidently handle uncertainty. You learn to love the red days that are inherent in the process. You learn to question the green days that are born out of chaos. You learn to stand tall in the storm and not let any number define your worth. Because here's the truth. You are more than your trading account. You are more than your last win or your last loss. You are a whole, evolved, powerful human being. And when you start living that truth, trading becomes so much easier. It becomes more freeing. You stop trying to force results. You stop needing every trade to prove something. You stop taking every loss personally. You just trade. And when you just trade from a place of peace instead of pressure, you start to see what's really possible. Your edge sharpens. Your vision clears. Your account slowly, steadily begins to grow. Because now you're not trying to win to feel good enough. You already feel good enough. And that changes everything. So tomorrow, when you sit down at your screen, I want you to remember this. The market owes you nothing. Your P&L is not a mirror of your life. Your value is not negotiable. You are not your results. You do your work. You are your commitment. You maintain your resilience. And so, that's worth more than any profitable green day. Chapter 4. The moment you realized trading isn't just numbers. You sit there, eyes locked on the screen, heart pounding harder than it should for a bunch of lines on a chart. It's just data, right? Candlesticks, price levels, patterns. But your palms are sweaty, your breathing is shallow, and as that red bar drops a little further, something else rises. Panic. Quiet, creeping, and maddening. You were so confident this morning. You had a plan, a clean, back-tested setup. Stop loss? Placed perfectly. Risk management? You swore you had it dialed in. But now? Now you're frozen. You think, why am I reacting like this? It's just a trade, just one trade. But you know it's not just the trade. It's what it represents. That red bar is not just a price, it's your self-worth. It's whether you're finally breaking through or proving everyone right that this trading dream of yours was naive. And that realization hits you like a freight train. This isn't about charts, it's about you. Welcome to the real battlefield, not the market, but the mind. No one told you this part. They told you about indicators, technicals, volume, momentum, but not the voice in your head screaming at you to exit now before you lose it all. Not the guilt, the shame, the chasing, the fear. You didn't expect to feel this emotional. You thought trading was mechanical, logical, clean. And now you're asking the question almost every trader stumbles upon sooner or later. Can I actually remove emotions from trading? Not ignore them, not suppress them, but truly remove them. Is that even possible? You hope the answer is yes, that there's a magical point where the fear, the greed, the anxiety all fade away, and you become that stoic, unshakable trader who calmly executes like a machine. You imagine it, flawless discipline, no overtrading, no revenge setups, no late-night self-loathing. But let's pause right here. Because to answer this question honestly, we need to go deeper, much deeper. Because what you're really asking isn't just about removing emotions. It's about becoming the person who no longer needs to react emotionally to price movement. And that's not the same thing. So let's walk this journey together. Not with shallow tips or empty quotes, but with truth, real, unfiltered truth about what it takes to quiet the chaos within and how your brain and heart can finally stop sabotaging your trades. We'll talk about fear, ego, hope, identity, expectation, childhood wiring, dopamine addiction, yes, even that. And you'll see that this isn't just about becoming a better trader. It's about becoming a calmer human being who can stand in the middle of uncertainty and breathe, steadily, wisely, without losing yourself. Because trading is life compressed into minutes. And emotions, they're not the enemy. They're messengers. They carry the truth you've been avoiding. So no, this won't be easy. You'll be challenged. You'll have to look at parts of yourself you've ignored for years. But if you stay with me, if you really commit to this internal work, you'll emerge on the other side more than just profitable. You'll be free. Free from the emotional roller coaster that's kept you stuck. Free from tying your worth to wins and losses. Free from the silent war with yourself that no one else sees. And it all starts here, with this question. Can you really remove emotions from trading? Let's find out.
Chapter 5. You're not broken, you're wired this way. You probably think something's wrong with you. You see other traders claiming they're calm, robotic, emotionless. They hit stop loss and smile. They miss a move and move on. Meanwhile, you're pacing around the room after a loss. You're doom-scrolling Discord channels after hours, checking the same chart for the 100th time, like somehow the candles will change if you just stare hard enough. And you whisper to yourself, "What the hell is wrong with me?" Let me stop you right there. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are wired this way. See, your brain was never designed to handle trading, not even close. You're running 200,000-year-old survival software. Your nervous system was built to react to rustling bushes and hungry predators, not rapidly blinking numbers, algorithmic market moves, and a chart that betrays you at any moment. Your amygdala, that little almond-shaped fear center, doesn't know the difference between a losing trade and a life-or-death threat. It sees danger and it floods your system with cortisol. You feel it instantly. The heart rate spike, the tunnel vision, the urge to do something, anything, to avoid pain. It's not weakness, it's biology. And when you ignore that biology, it gets louder. Because here's the truth. The market is an emotional amplifier. Whatever is unresolved in you, it will drag to the surface. Every fear, every insecurity, every tiny belief you absorbed when you were 6 years old and heard someone say money doesn't grow on trees. You bring all of that into every trade, whether you realize it or not. And this is where most traders get stuck. They try to out-discipline their nervous system. They try to bury their emotions with more rules, more alarms, more spreadsheets. But the deeper truth? You cannot logic your way out of a survival response. You have to understand it. You have to face it. Because your emotional reactions aren't just noise. They're data. They're the deepest signals of what your body is trying to tell you. They're asking you to pause, to look inward, to become aware. Think about it. When you FOMO into a breakout that's already run 8%, what are you chasing? Not profit. You're chasing relief. Relief from the fear of missing out. Relief from the feeling that everyone else wins but you. When you hold a loser past your stop, what are you doing? You're not being greedy. You're avoiding the emotional pain of admitting you were wrong. You're trying to protect your ego. These are not trading problems. These are human problems. And that's why so many talented, intelligent, well-read traders still struggle. Because they're trying to remove emotions like a stain, as if it's something to scrub out and forget. But emotions aren't the problem. Your relationship with them is. You were never taught how to sit with discomfort. You were taught to suppress it, distract from it, numb it. But in trading, there's nowhere to hide. And that's a gift, if you're brave enough to accept it. Because when you finally stop fighting your emotional reactions and start understanding them, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop pretending you're weak. You begin to realize you are not emotional because you're unfit for trading. You're emotional because trading exposes the parts of you that were never taught how to stay calm in chaos. And that can be retrained. Not erased, not removed, rewired. With awareness, with patience, with repetition. You don't need to become a machine. You need to become the version of yourself who can feel discomfort and still act with clarity.
Because real trading mastery isn't about being emotionless, it's about being unshaken. And the only way to get there is to stop running from the very feelings that are trying to teach you something. So no, you're not broken. You're just human. But that's not an excuse. It's an invitation. Now, are you ready to accept? Chapter 6: The Illusion of Control and the Cost of Chasing It. You tell yourself you're in control. You've studied the chart, you've checked the news, you've set your stop loss and mapped out your levels. Everything is prepared. But then it starts. A sudden drop, a fake breakout, a candle that makes no logical sense. You freeze, or worse, you act. You hesitate again. Then you click, not from clarity, but from panic. You think, I'm losing control. But here's the truth you haven't faced yet. You never had control to begin with. And that's what terrifies you the most. Because somewhere deep inside, you still believe that if you just worked harder, if you just learned one more strategy, watched one more mentor, found the perfect indicator, you could finally outsmart the chaos. That if you mastered every input, you could control the outcome. But trading doesn't work that way. It never did. There is no control in the market. Only risk, only probabilities, only your ability to act, not knowing what comes next. And that is unbearable for most people. Because we're taught from the moment we're children that effort equals reward, that if you try hard, study long, follow the rules, you'll succeed. Trading laughs at that logic. You can do everything right and still lose. You can do everything wrong and still win. And if you haven't made peace with that, if you haven't truly accepted that randomness plays a role in every trade, then every loss will feel like punishment, and every win will feel like proof you must keep going harder, deeper, more obsessed. This is where your emotions begin to own you, because control is safety. And when you don't feel safe, you start making emotional decisions to reclaim that illusion of safety. You size up, you move stops, you revenge trade, you stare at the screen like if you just watch harder, it will behave. You chase, you force, you beg the chart to go your way. And underneath it all, what are you really doing? You're trying to get back that feeling, that brief, addictive feeling of being in control. But trading is not about control. It's about surrender. Not blind surrender, not careless gambling, but the kind of surrender that says, I've done my preparation, I've managed my risk, I don't know what's coming, and I don't need to know. I trust myself to respond, not react. That kind of surrender is power. It is presence, and it is the one thing your emotions cannot hijack. Because the moment you stop trying to control the market, you can finally start controlling yourself. And that's the part you do have power over. Not the price, not the outcome, not the speed. Just this, your reaction. That's where your freedom lies. But it takes humility. It takes unlearning everything you thought you knew about success. And it takes staring into the face of uncertainty, not with fear, but with acceptance. Because once you accept you don't need control to succeed, the weight begins to lift. You stop white-knuckling your way through every trade. You stop interpreting every red candle as a personal failure. You breathe again. You trust again. You wait again. And ironically, that's when you begin to feel something strange and beautiful. Calm. Not because the market gave it to you, but because you stopped demanding certainty in a world that only offers risk. So next time you feel the panic rise, when the trade moves against you, when you start grasping for control, ask yourself, Am I reacting to the chart, or am I reacting to my fear of powerlessness? And if it's the second, can I let go? Can I choose to trade with trust even when I don't know? Because that is where real emotional freedom begins, and it starts with surrender.
Conclusion. So, here we are. After all the charts, the late nights, the replays of trades gone wrong, the emotional roller coasters, the whispered promises to do better next time, you're probably wondering, can I ever really trade without emotion? Let's be honest with each other. No, not completely. You're human. You feel. You react. You care. That's not a flaw. It's part of what makes you alive. You will still feel the sting of a loss, the rush of a win, the frustration of missing a setup, the temptation to overtrade, to prove yourself, to chase what you think the market owes you. But here's the truth that no one told you at the beginning. It's not about removing emotion. It's about not letting emotion control you. It's about recognizing the fear, but still sticking to your plan. It's about hearing the voice that says, "Get out now!" and calmly checking your risk, your setup, your edge, and choosing your next move with intention. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Not silence, but sovereignty. And that is earned. Through awareness, through repetition, through making the same mistake 5 times and finally asking why instead of just blaming yourself again. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. You need to feel the fear and breathe through it. To feel the urge and pause anyway. To let a loss come and not chase the next candle like your life depends on it. Because it doesn't. You do not exist to win every trade. You are not defined by your P&L, and the market is not your enemy. The real enemy is your unwillingness to sit with discomfort. But the good news? That's something you can train. Not in some grand, heroic way, but in small moments. One breath before clicking. One journal entry after a mistake. One honest conversation with yourself when you feel triggered. That's where the shift happens. Quietly, gradually, internally. And before you know it, you're not panicking like before. You're not glued to the chart every second. You're not tying your worth to green or red days. You're just trading. Steadily, calmly, humanly. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. So no, you won't remove emotion. But if you do the work, you will rise above it. And when you do, trading becomes less of a battlefield and more of a practice, a mirror, a teacher, and a path not just to financial freedom, but to something deeper, emotional freedom. That's the truth. And now, it's yours.